Right, welcome to episode 2 of the Popper podcast. I was going to say welcome back actually, but it's probably welcome for unless you maybe our mothers or our partners. Probably the first time if you're watching, it's probably the first time you've watched it. But yeah, this is a podcast we're going to be doing on a weekly basis. We're going to be talking about current affairs, events, and we'll do some more specific to certain topics. But yeah, it's just a chance for us to get together, isn't it? Really, and
it is
from the hustle and bustle of life.
That's the problem. Is that life's so hectic at the moment.
Yeah,
we don't get a chance to get together and just have a chat and
no, we don't. No. And this gives us an opportunity.
Basically, this podcast is a way to get our wives off our back.
I was going to say, a way to get away from our
We say we're meeting for a podcast.
Yeah, it's business.
Yeah. To be fair, like there was no moaning this morning when I said we're going for I'm going to. Yeah, it was just like, okay. You could see she wasn't too happy. Do you know what I mean?
Not that they ever moan.
A bit quiet.
Not that they ever moan.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, we love you guys.
We love you. Oh, right. Yeah, they're going to be watching. In fact, they'll be the only 3 watching. So we should say something nice about
all 3 of them love set up a WhatsApp group. Did you hear what Rikhi said?
Yeah. So what's been cracking then, lads, this week?
Oh well, I mean, I've had a busy week personally. I'm just trying to think what I've been up to.
Well, one thing that we've started talking about just before the podcast was Netflix Squid Games.
Yeah. You guys have. I started watching it last night, but I fell asleep. But it looks weird, man.
I'm only episode. Well, I've just started the 2nd episode, but yeah, I got into it just because there was so much hype on social media. I was going through like Instagram, Facebook. I kept on seeing people talk about this Squid Game, seeing GIFs, etc. And yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? You're quite.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah, I'm on episode 3. I think I've just got to now. It's basically about a guy who's got a bit of a gambling problem, runs into all sorts of problems with some gangsters and whatever. He's going to lose his daughter as well from his personal relationship with his wife, and he kind of gets given this opportunity to enter this game in order to win money, and then it emerges during the game that actually, when you get excluded from the game, you actually get killed during the game. So basically, the only way to leave is to either get killed or they can put it down to a vote, which you actually do in episode 2. Start of episode 2. No spoilers. I won't tell you what happens there. Did you watch that last night?
No.
Okay, cool.
I fell asleep.
Right. Because you think you know what's going to happen.
I think I know.
Yeah. And to be fair, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty obvious, but maybe it's not. Do you know what I mean? So we'll see. Yeah, but yeah, you'll understand when you see it. When you see the.
But those those Korean films and the Japanese, there's something about them. Yeah. When you watch them. I think because it's all foreign and whatever.
It's such a different culture as well. Even like just the way they're eating as well. Like that was pretty cool, and it's quite cool as well. Like you never would have come across this on a like as in like Netflix has enabled it to get into like I think it's like 200 million homes, and now everybody's talking about this Korean program, whereas before you would never have had
previously. Yeah, we wouldn't have even known about it, would we?
No, because there's when they do these things like the Koreans and the Japanese and they do these films. Like I say, even like the way I don't know about this Squid Games, but like even the way the people die and the gore and everything, it's just different.
It's just different to what we know of like Hollywood, American Hollywood. Do you know what I mean?
Like Hollywood's almost like stylized violence, whereas this it's kind of like it just makes you feel.
It almost look like it looks real. It looks like wow, this is like it's quite creepy as well. But,
definitely.
But it's really good. Like it's the first program that I've actually like. It takes me a while to get into it. Even like Ozark. I started watching that. It's all right. Don't get me wrong, but it hasn't got me coming. When I'm watching another episode. Like not yet. I've only watched one episode. Obviously, quite busy. But this one, like, even if I've got 5 minutes waiting for the kids to come out of school, I'm catching 5 minutes.
Gets you hooked, doesn't it?
Really, really good. Yeah, really good.
Okay.
So yeah, I've watched that this week.
It's got the Rikhi seal of approval.
Yeah, it's got the Rikhi seal of approval. Yeah, and that's quite hard to get. To be fair,
it is.
Yeah. So, go on. Have you been watching anything this week?
Nah, but we went to watch the new Sopranos last week.
Right.
You know the film.
Right.
Many Saints in Newark.
Is that on Netflix or is it in?
No, it's at the cinema.
In cinema.
So we last Thursday I did like an 11 o'clock showing in the day. Went and watched it, which felt nice. Yeah, it felt nice. We went and watched
something a little bit naughty about going to cinema during the day.
It is, yeah. You feel like you're skiving. But, but mate, it's one of them. Like I'm not going to say I was blown away by it. But
Okay.
if you're a fan of the show, which we are, all of us are, it's worth a watch because there's a lot of like references to what went on in the show and stories that Tony told that he now see like play out. Like, you know, when he says about when in the show when his uncle's saying he's never got the makings to be a varsity athlete. And he talks about that a few times, like how that really affected him saying it. But in this film, you see that scene where they're sitting around a table. And the woman goes, "Oh, how are you getting on in football?" He's like, yeah. You know, I'm going to be playing for varsity soon, and he says he hasn't got the makings for a varsity.
Nice.
There's things like that.
Nice.
But my gripe with it, there's a few gripes with it. All right, is that number one, the guy who plays Sylvia, right? It's almost like he's taking the piss. It's like a parody. He's like, too much. And it's like he's doing an impression, not just trying to subtly be.
Yeah.
So there's that. But the other thing is that when you watch the trailer, they make you believe that it's basically like the story of Tony Soprano.
Yeah. Right. That's what I thought from the trailer.
No.
When I was a kid, guys like me were brought up to follow codes.
Hey, jerk off. What'd you say? What?
He's in it. He's probably about 8% of the film.
Oh, that's so annoying.
Honestly, and
they reel you in, take your cash.
Exactly.
You know what?
And you know,
go on.
Godzilla, yeah. They did it with Godzilla.
Bryan Cranston's there, like in every single advert. Have you seen Godzilla?
He's the mate. He's like 90%
in it for like 10 minutes at the beginning.
Mate, maybe not even 10 minutes, and then he just gets killed off.
The probably just like,
yeah.
So when I was watching it, that's what I was thinking.
Right.
This is Godzilla again. But with Godzilla, they didn't put him in because obviously he's just come off Breaking Bad. He's going to be asking for some dough to be in that film. So they're thinking, let's just get you in. Probably 2 days shooting, we'll get you in, and that's that.
Yeah.
Whereas with this one, I think because the guy who's playing Tony in the film is James Gandolfini. It's his son, Michael Gandolfini. Yeah. So it's his son. So that's why, don't get me wrong, a lot of his expressions and whatever look like his dad.
But what do you think? Maybe he wasn't the best actor, so they only put him in for a bit.
Exactly. Because he's an inexperienced actor. They knew, we can't build the film around him. Yeah. Because it's going to be too much for Donnie's shoulders. But we want the sentiment of having Tony's son play him in it. So I think that's why. But
and that can work at times because I don't know if you've ever watched. Have you ever watched Straight Outta Compton?
Yeah. His son played it. Ice Cube's son played it.
Ice Cube's
son.
Was that Ice Cube's son?
That's Ice Cube's son in real life.
And he's or something, isn't it?
Yeah. And from that, he's actually gone to become an actual highly established actor.
He's done some films previously, so he had some. He'd had some acting experience previously. Not much.
That's a quality film.
He did. That was quality. Yeah, really good. But I think with this one, they didn't want to build it on him. So they did that. But the whole story is around pretty much Christopher's dad. His dad, Dickie Moltisanti.
Right.
It's around him.
Okay.
So marks out of 10? Marks out of 10. I would say 6.5. Right.
Okay. Cool.
And it's one of them where if you're a fan of the show,
you can. You
definitely got to watch it.
Yeah.
But it's not worth paying to go to the cinema.
Right. Cool.
Wait till it's on Netflix or Now TV or whatever, and go then.
Okay.
But I do think that they would have been better making it a series.
Right.
Okay.
And having it like as a 10 episode series, so they can develop some of the characters and the stories a bit more. Because it did feel a little bit like they were cramming so much into
an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Exactly. Yeah. And it just felt like it could have been a series of its own.
Okay.
But if you're a fan of the show, you've got to watch it.
Yeah.
But it's not worth paying to go to the cinema to watch.
Yeah. I'll tell you what would be worth paying to go to the cinema to watch. R.Kelly's interview. Did you see his interview from like back in the day? I rewatched it.
No, I haven't rewatched any of that. I've heard this thing going on at the moment.
Some woman's interviewing him and he's like, I'm innocent. Like this, and he's going absolutely mad, and it's kind of like you can tell he's absolutely bonkers. You know what I mean? Like,
stop it, y'all! Quit playing. I didn't do this stuff. This is not me, y'all. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this. I gave y'all 30 years of my career.
Robert.
30 years of my career. Y'all trying
And this is affecting my family and all this. But obviously he's been convicted this week,
now,
hasn't he?
yeah.
It's looking at decades, apparently.
Decades, yeah. I'm not surprised because didn't he have?
Let's see how
He's had like a child racketeering, is it, or like kidnapping,
sex trafficking.
Sex trafficking, that was it. Yeah.
Abuse.
Yeah,
rape,
underage,
all
and
that
all,
sort of stuff.
yeah.
Come on, guys!
So-
but when we listen to those old tunes, it's pretty
Well-
bloody obvious.
Oh well, that's it. And also, it's like no smoke without fire. I say. I mean, not in every case, because obviously there are occasions where maybe for whatever reason women can, in some occasions, make it up.
Yeah.
But when you've got 8 or 9 or 10 people all saying, this is what's going on, this is what, you kind of have to think, well, what are the chances that they're all lying?
Yeah. And he married Aaliyah, didn't he, when she was 13?
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He secretly married her. I think she was 13, 14.
So that in itself should have been a conviction.
Yeah. And like people were talking. It's one of them things, though, isn't it? It's like with the Harvey Weinstein thing. Everybody knew it was going on. You can't be in that. Don't forget, these stars, these celebrities, they've constantly got an entourage of people around them. Like they can. The only time they get the piece is when they go for a shit, basically.
Yeah.
Every other time they've got people around them. Now you can't be doing all that foolishness without people in your entourage knowing what's going on, and they're either turning a blind eye or they're thinking about the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember watching something, and it was related to Jimmy Savile.
Yeah.
And I remember watching a documentary on that, and the amount of people who knew about Jimmy Savile, when there was some incidents that really shocked me. I won't go into too much detail, but someone walked into a cupboard and Jimmy Savile was there with a child, and then they basically just walked out.
Yeah.
Said something to their senior, and the senior was like, "Look, if you say anything, then we're all out of a job, etc." Obviously, horrific what was happening, absolutely disgusting, etc. But he was such an icon in the BBC. Had so many people riding off him. That
he was a national treasure.
Even,
but
what's his name?
Crazy.
He had
Which one?
a documentary with Louis Theroux.
I was just going to say.
And even Louis Theroux said, I think it was his character as well, his persona. It was very, almost so obvious that it was kind of like, oh, actually, maybe not. Because Louis Theroux has spoken about it since.
I know, he did the second documentary, didn't he?
Yeah, that was it, yeah. And he kind of, little bits where he's been overly touchy with women or young girls.
But he said, at the time, I didn't think anything of it.
I think he was a little bit taken aback by because he said he had this very good way of almost manipulating you, and this is the Jimmy Savile show, and that's how he got away with it for so long as well. Yeah, which is just bizarre.
But it's like one of the, when you look back and you watch it again, with knowing what you know now, it's clearly,
a different era as well, isn't it? What was accepted back then compared to what would be accepted now.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I mean, Jimmy Savile turned up to your kid's birthday party. The way that guy looked, no, thank you.
Exactly, in his string vest, shorts up to here. I mean, his balls are practically hanging out his shorts. He's turned up to your kid's party.
No.
He's not done any favours for all the people that are trying to rock that fashion.
You've got those children entertainers who are like, oh, damn it. Got to rethink my outfit now.
Yeah, or a job if he's going to stick with that outfit.
Exactly. But I'd like to think, I mean, you got to be a certain type of person to allow yourself to not say anything about that. I don't care if I'm getting paid $1 million a year.
No, of course.
Or £1 million a year.
You'd think so, but why were so many people within the BBC not saying anything about it? How did it go on for so long? And there must be so many people that knew about it, and yet no one said anything.
Well, you got to remember, this is a time where there was no Netflix.
Yeah.
There was no Sky. There was no. So here's the guy who's pretty much like the main bread. The main breadwinner for BBC, right? Do we want to upset the?
If he goes, do we all go?
Exactly.
I suppose, that kind of. And it's controversial saying this, and it obviously, like you said, it's you would like to think that you would whistleblow, etc. But I suppose a lot of people at the time, maybe they had so much riding on it that they didn't know what to do and felt themselves in a moral dilemma, even though it shouldn't be, because it should be clear. Do you know what I mean? He's doing something wrong, whistleblow, but they've got their own family's money, etc.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to look at it from.
But also as well, it's the institution of the BBC as well.
Yeah.
If you're the one who whistleblows, you're now basically gonna pull back the
Red-listed.
curtain of what's going on at the BBC.
Yeah.
That's a British institution that you're bringing down.
Yeah.
So it's one of them. Like you don't know until you're in that
of
situation. But I'd like to think that
Most definitely,
I
you do
couldn't.
what's the right thing.
I couldn't let that slide.
Yeah, I'd like to think the same. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where, like, if they've gone to uni to get this degree and then they come out of it, and you know, like, if they're going to get red listed as well for kind of, but even so, I think at that point you've just got to kind of take what's right of it.
And there's only one thing.
Yeah, and that's the difference, isn't it? It's whether you're willing to take that risk or not.
Yeah.
But talk about taking risks. Have you seen the latest Playboy cover?
No.
This week?
Well, yeah, I think I saw it actually on.
Mate,
Yeah, I think
The latest Playboy cover, right? Let's get this
pull
bad
that
boy
shit
out.
up, Jamie. Honestly, it is. They've got basically. I mean, we're talking about Playboy here, right?
Is that even sort of thing on Playboy? I feel like, is that
It's
sort of
dying. It's dying down, but it's still. I mean, it's a 1953 Playboy started.
Really?
Wow.
Right, 1953. So that's nearly 70 years. It's
Wow.
been going, right? And you know, it is still. You see that bunny logo. It's like
Yeah,
seeing
yeah,
a light
it's
tick
iconic,
in it.
isn't it?
Everybody
Yeah,
knows
yeah,
what it is. Well, they've put this Filipino
latest Playboy
cross-dressing
cover.
gay guy on the front cover
Right.
of a magazine that's probably read by like 99.9% heterosexual.
Yeah. You
It's
got to know
like-
your audience, haven't you? Really?
You've got to know you like.
What is that
understand.
about? Why would they do
This
that?
is what I'm saying.
Who's actually in headquarters of the Playboy?
And he's allowing.
Is it this one?
But saying that,
No.
when was the last time we spoke about Playboy?
It's on Twitter.
When was the last time we
Twitter,
spoke
right.
about Playboy, or you know?
No,
and now
no.
we're speaking about it, so maybe it's just to
Maybe.
to shock and
Maybe.
wow, you
Could
know,
be,
that's,
yeah, to
that's-
bring it
it's,
back
you know, there's got to be
relevant.
some
Yeah,
reason
yeah.
because it's definitely not to please the current readers. Maybe the current readers have declined so much that now they're thinking, look, let's try and get something to get Playboy back into, you know,
maybe. You could be right, but I mean, and the guy who they've
Just put Playboy into Google. That did not go out well. History
the
deletes.
guy who they've put on as well.
Oh,
he's like,
geez, yeah, I can see
let me
this.
see. Yeah,
Right, I
that's
hadn't
him,
seen that.
right?
Okay.
But the guy who they've put on, you know, he put a tweet on, like, I think his name's Brentman. It's Brentman, bitch, is what he put on, on his Twitter, right?
Yeah.
It's like you haven't even you've basically killed your business, right? And you haven't even put anybody knows on. Like if it was Caitlyn Jenner or someone like that,
Yeah.
I'd understand.
Yeah, got ya.
But I mean, they might as well have lubed Ewan up and put him in a corset.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact,
those days are behind
Wait a
me, boys. Those days are behind me. Those CD magazine days.
he'd have done it for half the price and thrown in a free wall.
Got to pay
as well
them
at
money
the same
to do
time.
that. It's funny though because it actually says here someone's put on Twitter when I've looked at the picture. What other reason could there be for completely forgetting who their target audience is?
Yeah.
Basically saying.
Well,
like,
it's to create shock value so that you get people talking about, and
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people do, because with the amount of content that's out there now, you've almost got to kind of sometimes put a bit of shock element in there in order to get yourself noticed.
I mean, again, someone's just put on Twitter, right? He's saying, I'm a homosexual man myself, but I'm very confused by this front cover. Why put a gay man on the cover of a magazine that's target audience is heterosexual men?
Yeah.
What purpose does this
It's
serve?
like putting Megan Fox on the front of Gay US or Gay Weekly. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
I mean, you wouldn't buy that, would you, Rick?
Well, I mean, probably not that week, but
Have you cancelled your subscription yet?
But like, the thing is, what you know, the left brigade are going to come out and they're going to say, "Oh, it's homophobia." It's not homophobia. No one. I mean, we are not homophobic. We've got
Not at all.
gay. We've had gay friends. We've got gay friends,
Yeah.
right? We're just bored. Like, it's not 1960. You haven't got to shock us
No.
to show us that
yeah.
we know that gay men exist.
Yeah.
You haven't got to shock us anymore and you know, tell us that they're there. It's just.
And sometimes I
point.
almost feel like it's like they're going fishing. It's like they've put the bait out there because
Yeah.
they're waiting for people to bite.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, let's take, for example, a motor magazine, right? That's been going for 50 years. You wouldn't suddenly put a piece of vegetable or an article on
exactly.
vegetables in that magazine because they want to hear about
Put a
motors.
turnip on the front,
Do you know what I mean?
on the front cover.
And it's the same with Playboy. Do you know what I mean? The target audience is heterosexual men, and that's fine. Do you know what I mean? There's not an issue with that, so we don't need to create an issue with that. But I almost feel like they put it out there to maybe create some controversy and get people to bite, because then people are going to say stuff like this, aren't they? Like, why have you done that?
Well, I think you made a good point. And I didn't think about it like this, but maybe it is just to sort of stir, because maybe Playboy was kind of a bit boring.
Yeah,
it's kind of, you know, with all the online stuff now, who's buying Playboy?
Yeah.
So maybe it's a way for them to become relevant again.
See, I can almost understand why Playboy have done it, because obviously it's a way to kind of get relevant. We're talking about it now. If it was just a normal woman, or just a woman on the page, we wouldn't be talking about it now. So it's what they've been trying to do. It's obviously worked. But what I don't understand is this massive push by the media to almost emphasise this. It's almost like they're trying to push people towards being transsexual, or and in some ways it's confusing people. Like, you're getting to a point where parents aren't even assigning a gender to their children, and I don't understand why is that being pushed. Like by all means, accept all people, all comers in society. I've got no problem with anyone. It's absolutely fine. But why would we be pushing this agenda so much as well? Like, is there not better things the media could be putting their attention into? Like, spreading love, spreading this, that, the other, unity, whatever. But everything I see on the media seems to be like some sort of agenda behind it, and I always try and actually work out what is the agenda. Is. You've got the war agenda, you've got the healthcare agenda, trying to get everybody towards taking medicines, and there's always some sort of agenda. What is the agenda of this? Is it just to confuse kids? So
my theory is that, I mean, and this is just a theory, so I'm not saying that this is what it is, but I think that there's a bit of a culture at the moment of creating victims, right? Or getting people to believe that they're a victim. You're a victim because of your race, you're a victim because of your religion, you're a victim because of your gender. Well, if you're, let's say a straight white guy, right? In today's society, you're not considered a victim. So how can we turn you into a victim, right? Well, you suddenly say, because you don't even have to say that you're transgender. You could say that you're gender fluid, or you have no gender. Nothing, you can change nothing about you.
Right.
But you turn around and you say, I'm gender fluid. Well, now suddenly you're like a protected characteristic.
Of course.
And the reason I think that they're trying to push this is because when you feel like you're a victim, you look to someone for protection. And who are all these people looking to for protection? They're looking to the government. They're looking to, all the establishment to protect them.
Yeah.
And that gives the establishment power.
Yeah.
And anybody who goes against it, who doesn't look to the establishment or the government for protection and support, you're seen as a racist, a homophobe, a whatever, a bigger whatever.
Yeah.
But actually, no, you're just someone who's like, you do you, I'll do me.
Yeah.
But don't ram it down my throat.
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
We've got none of us here have got any problems with gays, with people of colour, with transgenders, nothing. Everybody, live your life if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I also believe, I also believe, though, that the people who really are struggling with transgender, and struggling with acceptance about their gender, and people who really are struggling with, coming out as gay or whatever, it's almost trivialising it for them.
Yeah.
Because they've had to deal with it all their life. I've worked with kids who are transgender, who are almost suicidal because of the body that they're living in.
Yeah.
And when you're coming out and you're just like, you know what, today I'm a girl, tomorrow I'm a boy, I'm gender fluid. It's just so insulting and trivialising that's my theory anyway.
Yeah. And I think you brought you onto the right track, and I think it's just confusing too many people as well now. It's like, and it all kind of adds to this whole pot of like what's correct to say, what's not correct. Like if you've got someone who's is it gender fluid? I don't know, like where you're a man and a woman, or you don't identify with a gender.
Yeah, gender fluid.
That's gender fluid, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they're wanting to be called they
or Z.
Or Z, is it? All right. They
but there's
or Z,
so many different pronouns now.
And also,
you're talking like 50 plus.
Grammatically, though, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense
because it should be it really.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying they, it's more than one person.
It's collective.
Or
they are over there.
The only time you talk of someone in the singular version of they is if you're talking about them when they're not there.
Yeah.
Oh, they said. Oh, I was Rikhi the other
that's
day,
it. Yeah,
and they said this.
Yeah.
Like you don't ever say it when the person's there.
Yeah.
Right. But so grammatically, it doesn't make sense.
And it's probably a bad thing to call. You know, you wouldn't want to be called it, would you?
Exactly.
So you know, it's,
Where do you go?
Where do you kind of go with that? Do you know what I mean? It's like
But
it's very
so
confusing.
isn't
Very
it?
It really
confusing.
is.
And the fact is, like, there's not that many people really that are wanting to be
Genuinely.
yeah. Well, and before this, I don't know, like, okay, so have we got it completely wrong? Has this always been a deep-rooted part of society, and people
And
are coming
now
out
people
more
feel
and
like they
more
can come
because, yeah, they're feeling like, if I'm wrong, then, you know, maybe we've got it wrong, maybe that's what's going on, and, we're unaware of it. Or maybe it's just like you say, you know, people are just now thinking, you know, a lot of, as well, like, I feel that
It's
kids
a little bit
are
like
kind
fashion.
well, I feel like
For
kids
some.
are like lacking identity.
Yeah.
Like a lot, like they go on social media and you know they see all these great things. People, like all the celebrities they're following, they've all got great lives. They're all in big mansions, and they're living in just a normal. And it's like they want to be that, and it's like they don't really know what they want to be anymore because there's this, there's that. There's so many influences coming from social media.
Complex compared to how it used to be.
Well,
when you think about life, you know, it was almost like, even going back 50 years ago, you leave school, this is your path in life, that's your job, you have a family, there you go.
Exactly.
And now there's so many different roads to go down, there's so much to do, there's so many options that I think it almost overwhelms a young child.
And also, like,
creates that confusion.
Who were your influences back when you were younger? Who did you take influence from when we were younger?
Spider-Man, Peter Parker.
But like, but okay, so let's say before, but I'm saying like you're influenced by who you're seeing around you.
Of course.
We see our dad, or you see your dad, you see your mom. Your mom's, you know,
small
stay-at-home mom.
community.
You know, we shopped at, you know, we lived a good life. Don't get me wrong, and our dad made good money, but our mom was always grounded. She always wanted to get bargains. She always went to, you know, whatever. Same with your mom. I know your mom's the same. So, but that's who we got our kind of morals from, and that's where we got our guidance from. And obviously, I got my guidance from you, my older brother, my uncles, whatever. But now kids are getting their guidance from, you know, this rapper on social media, and then this other person
who lives
on
in
social
Australia
Ben
as well.
Aslar and,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like,
you know,
they must be
the
so
guy?
confused.
Brent Rivera
And then on top of that, they've got all these different agendas getting pushed to them. Like, it's just such
I'd
a
hate to be a
confusing
kid
world
now.
to live in right now. And unless you've got a solid parental role model, or, you know, two role models, or one or two, you know, then, you know, for the most part, a lot of kids are growing up very confused.
I worked on a project a few years ago, well, more than a few years ago now, a talent match in West Brom, and there was a girl, so she was from West Brom, but she spoke with an American accent, and this wasn't a forced American accent at all.
Yeah.
She actually had picked up this accent. And it just used to, when I was just here, it used to baffle me. And I remember just talking, having a conversation one day. I was like, where's this accent come from? You should have like West Midland, you know, twang to your voice. And it basically comes out because she just watches American YouTube. And she led a little bit of an isolated life as well. So that's all she, kind of the interactions she had, she would watch that for 20 hours a day. And she's picked it up. And going off what you said, you know, back in the day, you would have your small collective community around you, and that's who there would be your role models. That's how you would, you know, learn your morals and values in life, etc. Whereas now, you've got a lad from Wolverhampton watching someone in Australia.
Yeah.
They leave radically different lives, but they're connected over the internet.
And usually,
completely different cultures.
Everything's different.
And usually, if you're a big figure, for the most part on the internet, and you've got a big following enough to the point where like there's a lot of kids watching you, you're going to have a lot of money. You're going to have, you know, probably a much easier lifestyle, and, you know, you're going to be able to go on holidays, no responsibilities, and that's not real. So kids are taking their influences these days from things that just aren't real. Like, at least when you were younger, if you had maybe you had a bad influence around you, but at least it was real. At least it's something that actually that's just someone, and then you can make the choice. Do I want to mimic that person, or do I want to learn from their behaviour and, you know, maybe the bad decisions they've taken and how that's affected them badly, and maybe do something different? But at least it's real. At least it's not something that is, you know, in a lot of cases unobtainable.
And then I think this is where we touch on this kind of mental health pandemic in itself at the moment, and which is heavily influenced by social media.
Massive.
I mean, when you've got all these, I was going to say, when you've got all these accounts that are showing, you know, these influencers' best lives, and these kids are thinking, well, why is my life not living up to it?
Exactly.
And you know, they're doing
exactly.
everything they can to kind of lead these lives. And
but what they don't realise is half of these influencers are doing them in Airbnbs, right? They go back to like a 1-bedroom flat, but they're doing their films and whatever in like a 5-bed Airbnb mansion sort of thing.
Mate, even the shots, right? I saw something online the other day, right? And this blew my mind, right? You know how...
In the jet?
In the jet, you see that?
Yeah. Well, there's someone now. There's a
in the jet.
There's a guy in America. He put 10 grand into a business. Basically, what he did was he's created a fake jet set scene sort of thing, right? He's got the he's put a screen at the window so it looks like it's moving. Yeah. He's got like fake air stewardesses who come and give you whatever. And he's got the airplane sound and everything. And basically, influencers go. They pay him for like an hour to do some filming or some pictures and whatever.
Make it look like
they're on a jet. And he's just smashing it.
Mate, I bet he's making a killing.
He's smashing it.
I bet he's making a killing.
But how pathetic is how
it's mad, innit? I know.
pathetic
I know.
is that?